They say love is about sacrifice. I don't know who they are, but they clearly never tried paying rent on 2 jobs just to buy someone a purse she'd only wear once for Instagram. I'm Mark, 28, born in Ohio, raised on black coffee, early shifts, and the belief that good men show up. Always, especially when it's hard. And Kelsey, she was the type you want to show up for. At least, that's how it felt in the beginning. Blonde hair, perfect smile, that laugh that made other people turn and look. She had standards. Not dreams, standards. Nothing ever, just fine. It had to be better, and I wanted to be that better. For her. So I worked. Construction during the day. Deliveries at night. No time to eat right, sleep right, or even think. I was saving for something big. The kind of proposal that ends up in cheesy online videos. Fireworks, rooftop, maybe even a violinist. Even in moments that seemed calm, my mind would rewind every conversation, replay every look. She never needed to lie well. I wanted so badly to believe her that I filled in the truth for her. That's the real betrayal. When you lie to yourself on their behalf. Don't know. Something that made her feel like the queen she thought she was. She didn't know I was planning it. She just kept dropping hints. Diamond ring photos, beach resorts, 5-star restaurants she's never been to but somehow expected I could book in advance. And I tried. God, I tried. Part 2, the weight of wanting. My back hurt every morning. My feet ached every night. I'd lie and tell her I was fine. She'd complain I was distant, that I didn't touch her like before. But how do you reach out when your hands are full holding everything together? Every request became a checklist. Apple Watch, new phone, designer makeup. She wanted what her friends posted. Even if they were fake, she wanted to look real. I told myself this was just temporary. A phase. The pressure, the work, the expectations. It would all be worth it when I'd get down on one knee and finally see her cry for the right reason. And still part of me knew. Deep down, I felt it. Some nights, the silence was louder than any fight we never had. I started narrating my pain in my head, like I was already gone and just observing the ruins. There's a certain numbness that feels worse than heartbreak. The kind where you stop wanting answers, because you already know them. The way her smile didn't quite reach her eyes anymore. The way her phone never left her hand, but always landed face down. You learn to lie to yourself when the truth costs more than you're ready to pay. There were nights when I sat in the car outside our building, hands on the wheel, thinking about driving anywhere but home. Not because I hated her, not yet, but because I hated who I was becoming just to be enough for her. You don't realize it at first. How small you're becoming. How quiet. How replaceable. And the cruelest part? She made me feel that way while calling it love. The revenge wasn't born out of anger. It was born out of exhaustion. Out of trying. Out of bending. Out of finally breaking alone. Part 3, the confirmation. One night, I came home early. My shift got cut. I thought I'd surprise her with Thai food and a stupid movie we'd seen a dozen times. She wasn't home. Her phone, though, it was. Charging. Some nights, the silence was louder than any fight we never had. I started narrating my pain in my head, like I was already gone and just observing the ruins. There's a certain numbness that feels worse than heartbreak. The kind where you stop wanting answers, because you already know them. Unlocked. I didn't go looking. It was just there. Messages. Names I didn't recognize. Photos. Voice notes. And worst of all, jokes. The kind you only tell someone you trust more than the one you're with. She hadn't slipped up once. She'd created a routine out of it. Lunch breaks. Errands. Girls' night that never really included girls. I scrolled until my fingers went numb. Then I put the phone back. Plugged it in. Sat on the couch and stared at the black TV screen for what felt like years. She came home an hour later. Hugged me from behind. Said she missed me. I said, me too. And in that moment, I knew exactly how this story would end. Just not when. Even in moments that seemed calm, my mind would rewind every conversation, replay every look. She never needed to lie well. I wanted so badly to believe her that I filled in the truth for her. That's the real betrayal. When you lie to yourself on their behalf. There were nights when I sat in the car outside our building, hands on the wheel, thinking about driving anywhere but home. Not because I hated her, not yet, but because I hated who I was becoming just to be enough for her. You don't realize it at first. How small you're becoming. How quiet. How replaceable. And the cruelest part? She made me feel that way while calling it love. The revenge wasn't born out of anger. It was born out of exhaustion, out of trying, out of bending, out of finally breaking alone. Part 4, the shift. I didn't confront her. I didn't yell. I didn't even flinch. Instead, I made a decision. If this was going to end, it would end on my terms. I started being extra sweet, thoughtful, gentle. I watched her eyes light up, not with guilt but satisfaction. Some nights, the silence was louder than any fight we never had. I started narrating my pain in my head, like I was already gone and just observing the ruins. There's a certain numbness that feels worse than heartbreak, the kind where you stop wanting answers because you already know them. And then I began to spend. Everything she'd ever wanted, I gave. Designer bags, tech weekend getaways, spa days, personalized jewelry, a car lease just because. But every item, every booking, every payment was in her name. She'd signed dozens of things over the years without reading. You handle the paperwork, she'd say. So I did. New credit card? Hers. Phone plan? Hers. Amazon account linked to a buy now, pay later plan? All hers. She smiled through every swipe. Posted pictures. Called me the best. She had no idea she was cashing herself into a corner. Part 5, the illusion. I gave her the ring. Not an engagement ring. A diamond necklace shaped like a heart. Even in moments that seemed calm, my mind would rewind every conversation, replay every look. She never needed to lie well. I wanted so badly to believe her that I filled in the truth for her. That's the real betrayal, when you lie to yourself on their behalf. She didn't cry. That was the worst part. Not a single tear. As if all this meant nothing. Or maybe she cried later, in private, where no one could see her pride crack. I didn't need her tears. I didn't want her apology. I wanted her to feel it. The slow realization that she'd built her comfort on a man she didn't respect, and now that man no longer existed in her world. Revenge isn't fire. It's frost. It's cold, calculating quiet. And when it sets in, it stays. She'll feel it every time the phone rings from a bank, every time she sees a luxury bag and remembers how she got it. Cost me nothing, financially. Everything was on a line of credit. She cried. Said I was perfect. Said no one ever made her feel so special. And in that moment, I looked her in the eye and thought, you're not crying for me. You're crying for what you think I am. She wanted more trips, more glam, more. And I gave it, like a magician with a deck full of IOUs. Then came the big one, a surprise birthday party. All her favorite things. Streamers, flowers, the cake with her name in gold. I toasted to her, held her close, whispered things into her ear like I was planning forever. And 2 days later, I dropped the box. But the more she smiled, the more it hurt. I wasn't giving her love anymore. I was handing her the rope, inch by inch. And every gift was a knot she'd never see until it was too tight to untie. Some nights, the silence was louder than any fight we never had. I started narrating my pain in my head, like I was already gone and just observing the ruins. There's a certain numbness that feels worse than heartbreak. The kind where you stop wanting answers, because you already know them. I imagine her checking her account balance like someone watching a house burn from the inside, trying to figure out where it all started, but deep down knowing it was her. It was always her. I didn't have to raise my voice. I didn't have to lift a finger. She destroyed herself, and I just handed her the mirror. They say karma is slow, but sometimes it's punctual, and brutal, and wearing designer heels. There was something cruel in the calm of it all. I laughed at her jokes. I kissed her forehead. I told her she was everything. She thought I meant it. The truth was, I was mourning her in silence. Every wrapped box was a eulogy. Every surprise a final goodbye she hadn't earned the right to hear. Part 6, the reveal. We were in the apartment. Calm. Soft jazz on the speaker. She was scrolling through her phone, probably lining up the next demand. I said, "You know I know, right?" She looked up, confused. "Know what?" "That you've been cheating. For a while. With different guys. For no reason other than you could." Silence. I stood, walked to the closet, grabbed the folder, set it on the table. Inside, copies of everything. The loans. Even in moments that seemed calm, my mind would rewind every conversation, replay every look. She never needed to lie well. I wanted so badly to believe her that I filled in the truth for her. That's the real betrayal, when you lie to yourself on their behalf. Freedom doesn't come with fireworks. It comes in the form of no longer explaining yourself, of not checking your phone, of walking through a store and not seeing memories in every object you once bought for someone else. She taught me one thing. When someone makes you feel like you're too much, it's usually because they were never enough. And so I walked away not lighter, but cleaner. Like I'd finally washed her out of the parts of me I didn't even know she stained. The credit cards, the lease, all with her signature, all processed, all real. She flipped through them slowly. Eyes widened, mouth parted. She looked at me, panicked. You used me. I shook my head. No, you used you. I just stopped protecting you from it. And then I walked out, calm. No suitcase. No shouting. Just a locked door behind me and peace for the first time in years. Part 7, the fallout. I heard she tried to return the car. Couldn't. The lease was ironclad. She tried blaming me. Called her friends, her mom, probably even a lawyer. Even in moments that seemed calm, my mind would rewind every conversation, replay every look. She never needed to lie well. I wanted so badly to believe her that I filled in the truth for her. That's the real betrayal, when you lie to yourself on their behalf. I passed her on the street once. She looked right through me. Not out of hate, out of fear. Fear that I'd speak, that I'd tell someone what she did. But I didn't. I never needed to. Some stories end quietly. No closure. No confrontation. Just two people walking in opposite directions. One lighter, one lonelier. She taught me how far someone will go to feel adored. I taught her what happens when the person doing the adoring walks away forever. But there was nothing illegal about giving someone exactly what they asked for. One by one, her cards maxed out. The spa called. Collection started. She tried texting me. Said she missed me. Said she was sorry. I didn't respond. Not because I was angry. Because I was done. The silence after me was louder than anything I could have said. I imagined her opening bills she didn't recognize, hearing her name from debt collectors, watching her image unravel. She used to curate every piece of her life for approval. Now, the cracks weren't just visible, they were screaming. It wasn't revenge. It was balance. I simply let her carry the weight she handed to me every day, with a smile. Part 8, the exit. I moved. New number. New town. New silence. There's no victory speech. No happy ending you frame on a wall. But sometimes the real win is walking away without ever needing to explain yourself. She wanted everything. Now she has it. And I finally have nothing. And nothing, for once, feels like freedom. Even in moments that seemed calm, my mind would rewind every conversation, replay every look. She never needed to lie well. I wanted so badly to believe her that I filled in the truth for her. That's the real betrayal. When you lie to yourself on their behalf. I never blocked her. I didn't need to. Silence says more than 1,000 angry texts. She watched from a distance as I lived. Not better, just freer. Sometimes, you don't burn bridges. You just stop crossing them. And when the fire finally reaches their side, you don't even feel the heat. I gave her everything. She paid for all of it. And I left not empty but whole.